Well, that doesn't seem fair now, does it?
I was thinking about reading the Bible. Wrote a song about it. Here it goes.
Not a Christian, never read the Bible, but I heard there's a lot of crazy stuff in here. Let's see what we got. Today we are going to read chapter 4 of Genesis, Cain and Abel. Last time we read the fall, where basically Jesus and Eve were kicked out of the Garden of Eden and set mankind on a course of misery and disrepute. And I think we are going to get our first example here. Cain and Abel, I've heard of that story. Let's see what's actually in here. Cain and Abel. Now Adam knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain, saying, okay, Adam knew his wife. Okay, I think knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain. I think what knew means to know someone. I think I've heard of this. To know someone in the Bible is to, you know what I'm saying. So Adam knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain, saying, I have gotten a man with the help of the Lord. And again, she bore his brother Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of the sheep, and Cain a worker of the ground. In the course of time, Cain brought to the Lord an offering of the fruit of the ground, and Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat. And of their fat portions. I'm sorry. And Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat portions. And the Lord had regard for Abel and his offering, but for Cain and his offering, he had no regard. Well, that doesn't seem fair now, does it? So, hey, I like the sheep and the meat, but of the fruit, you're not impressing me, Abel. I mean, you're not impressing me, Cain. I think this is where it got started. I think Cain probably got a little angry. Where was I? But for Cain and his offerings, he had no regard. So Cain was very angry, and his face fell. The Lord said to Cain, why are you angry, and why has your face fallen? Well, because he didn't like my freaking fruit, dude. If you do well, you will not... Wait. Why are you angry, and why has your face fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin is crouching at the door. Its desire is contrary to you, but you must rule over it. Is God just kind of testing him, teaching him a lesson, kind of like we do with our kids? Got to say no sometimes so they know that no exists. Maybe, but I don't know. We'll see. Cain spoke to Abel, his brother. And when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother Abel and killed him. Well, that didn't take long. The next day he just goes out and kills him. Okay. Then the Lord said to Cain, where is Abel, your brother? He said, I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? I've heard that before. This is where it comes from, right here. And the Lord said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood is crying to me from the ground, and now you are cursed from the ground, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it shall no longer yield you its strength. You shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth. Cain said to the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, you have driven me today away from my ground, and from your face I shall be hidden. I shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me. Then the Lord said to him, not so. If anyone kills Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord put a mark on Cain, lest any who found him should attack him. Then Cain went away from the presence of the Lord and settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Now, I have to tell you, when I was a kid, I don't know which movie it was. One of the 70s movies. I just remember this whole scene of Cain killing Abel and God speaking to him, and that mark being burned on his. And I don't really. It was kind of like a star, like a slash 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 star. I don't know what movie it was, but that has that was very what's the word? It was traumatizing to me. I was a little kid watching that, and I was like, man, this guy is screwed, and I knew he was screwed. Well, from the movie. Let me continue. Cain knew his wife. We know what know means. And she conceived and bore Enoch. Enoch. I've heard that name before. Let's see what Enoch is. So let me start. Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch. When he built a city, he called the name of the city after the name of his son, Enoch. Okay. To Enoch was born Irad, or Erad, and Irad fathered Mehujael. These names are killing me. And Mehujael, maybe, fathered Methusael. And Methusael fathered Lamech. And Lamech took two wives. The name of one was Ada, and the name of the other Zillah. Ada bore Jabal, and he was the father of those who dwell in tents and have livestock. His brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all those who play the lyre and the pipe. Okay. So one of his sons was all the workers, the guys who worked in the field and tended livestock, and the other ones were all the entertainment, I guess I'll say. Zillah also bore Tubal Cain. He was the forger of all instruments of bronze and iron. The sister of Tubal Cain was Naamah. Lamech said to his wife. So Lamech said to his wife. So we're down the line here. Yeah. Lamech said to his wives. Oh, Lamech was the one who had two wives. Ada and Zillah, hear my voice. You wives of Lamech, listen to what I say. I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for striking me. If Cain's revenge is sevenfold, then Lamech's is 77-fold. I'm going back. I do not understand what the hell I just read. Going back. Ada and Zillah, hear my voice. This is Lamech talking to his wives. You wives of Lamech, listen to what I say. I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for striking me. Okay. If Cain's revenge is sevenfold, then Lamech's is 70-fold. Okay, so this guy, I guess he feels guilty for killing this guy. He's saying, well, Cain's punishment, I should be punished 10 times more than my ancestor Cain. I guess that's what he's saying. And Adam knew his wife again. Okay, so that was basically the story of. So we're jumping back in time. So we basically heard the story of Cain and Abel. Abel's dead, so there's no story of his story ended quite soon. Cain and his sons and all that kind of stuff. And then basically one of Cain's ancestors also killed somebody and feels guilty, I guess, and feels like he deserves the punishment that Cain got as well. And then now we're jumping back to Adam. Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son called his name Seth. Oh, she bore a son and called his name Seth. For she said, God has appointed for me another offspring instead of Abel, for Cain killed him. To Seth also a son was born, and he called his name Enosh. At that time, people began to call upon the name of the Lord. And that is the end of chapter 4, Cain and Abel. It's interesting. I just remember seeing that movie when I was a kid. And honestly, the only thing I know about Christianity is growing up in the United States, Christian nation for the most part, seeing all of the movies as a child and 70s and 80s, the big, Hollywood ones. And, I have friends and relatives who are Christians. Don't really talk about it much, but it's interesting that even though I've never read this before, I have ingrained upon me the story of Cain and Abel, but it's very interesting to see what this actually says. Anyways, that's it for now. The next chapter will be chapter 5, Adam's descendants to Noah. I feel like that's going to be a very monotonous chapter, but we will get through it somehow. I will see you next chapter. Bye. New chapters every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
When you serve, you know it's a must. Gotta have a friend in Jesus. So you know that when you die, it's gonna recommend you.